Hi guys, PJ here. Today we are working on an Audi A5 and this is a 2017 model. We'll be fitting a dashboard camera to it, and this particular camera being a Nextbase 512. Now the reason I'm showing you which camera this car's having is because you may or may not know sometimes you need a specific memory card for these cameras depending on the quality of the camera. Some of the cameras that are coming out today are 4K. This particular one's not, it's 2K, it's 1440p. So still very high quality. And with that, we're using, there you go, a Nextbase card. And as you can see at the bottom here, it says 1440p, HD, 2K. Yeah, so it's suitable for 2K recording. If you're going for a higher camera such as a 612 or a few of the other brands out there that record at 4K, you are going to need a U3 speed memory card. Okay, so make sure you pay attention to what memory card you buy. Speed is important when you're recording the very high reses. Okay, so on with the fitting. We're going to be fitting this to the fuse box of the vehicle so that it goes on and off with the ignition of the vehicle. So in other words, you can just leave it alone to do its job and not have to worry about cables plugged into your cigarette lighter, etc. Now, the best thing to do is get yourself one of these fitting kits. They're available in different brands. You can normally get them from Amazon and such places. And in these fitting kits, you get a few bits and bobs. You get a replacement power cable. So you will not be using the one that comes in the camera box with the fag lighter connection on the end. This will have a plus and a minus on the end of it. Okay. On the other end is your standard, there you go, mini USB that plugs into the camera. Okay. So that's one bit you get in the kit. You'll also get two different size fuse spurs. Okay. Now what they are is basically to double up one of your fuse sockets in the fuse box. Okay. So what we'll be doing later is finding an accessory fuse in the fuse box that goes on and off with the ignition, removing that fuse and plugging this in place of the fuse and replacing the actual fuse in the spare socket next to the camera fuse that you can see there. On this particular car, we will not be using this large fuse size. That's generally found in older vehicles or commercial vehicles. We can put that to one side. We'll be using the mini blade one, which is this one. You'll notice this particular kit's already got a crimped connector on the end, which plugs straight onto there, nice and easy. Okay, only other thing to mention, obviously don't forget to buy your memory card, that's important. And the mount that comes with the camera. Okay, now most cameras will come with a suction mount like so, or an adhesive mount. Now if you look at the top of your vehicle where you're putting your camera, so you're going to be probably putting it up here somewhere, yeah, next to your mirror. If the checkering that you've got here, the black, is smooth to the touch, as in as smooth as glass, you'll be fine to use the suction mount one. If it's rough and it feels like a painted texture, you're going to need to use the 3M sticky pad mount, because basically this sucker will not stick to this. It'll just keep falling off every 2 minutes. And you normally put your camera up here, out the way, and make sure it looks down across the bonnet and picks most points up. So in other words, it'll pick both the corners of your bonnet up, so left and right corner of the bonnet. That way, any impact coming from each corner, the camera will pick it up. Right, so moving on to actually fitting the camera itself now. First thing we're going to do is put the camera out of the way nice and safe, because we don't need it yet. Okay, and the memory card out of the way. All you're going to need for now is let's move everything, your power cable. And what we're going to do with that is just basically make sure it stays put by putting a couple of cable ties on it. I'm going to do that now and flip forward on this video to show you one done. Okay, so get yourself 3 or 4 cable ties, yeah, measure it up against the top of the window screen, wrap them round, snip the end off, and then just to stop any sharp edges, cover them in something like electrical tape. It's just to stop them digging into or rubbing into the back of your headlining on your vehicle. Back of your headlining is normally made of sort of a weave or a foam substance, and over time I suppose it could mark it, so just cover them over. And what this will do is just stop the wire from basically falling off the top of the headlining when you hit, one of our lovely great potholes that we've got in this country, or I suppose in any other country, come to that. It's you don't want it dangling down in front of you while you're driving because you've hit a pothole. So they just hold it up, just a little nodule to hold them in place. Now while we're on the cable, there's one other thing to mention. Now some of these kits come with, and I highly recommend them, it's basically a filter. If you've got a DAB radio installed, and in an S5 you probably have, in an A5 you could well have, What this is a ferrous filter, and it will help your radio signal on DAB radios. Because if you fit your camera, a lot of time it'll interfere with your DAB radio. All you do is pop them open, like so. Like I say, this should come in the kit. It does come in this next base kit that I'm using. And all you do is put it over your cable and then wrap it over it. So you basically wrap it under, through and round. You need both hands to do this, so I'll show you the finished job. Like so. So with it open, cable over it, round it, and then over it again, so that it's actually got two lots, look. So it literally wraps around it, comes out the other end. And that's your filter. As near as possible to the plug, where the camera is. Obviously the plug's got to be able to bend 90 degrees, so you need to leave a little bit of flex on there. Then you can go ahead to the top of your headlining, and you can be quite gentle here. It's like a foam material or a cardboard material. You normally just use your fingers just to pull it down a little bit, look, and tuck your cable up. If it's stubborn, yeah, and only if it's stubborn, bear in mind you've got a glass window in front of you, you can use something like one of these. This is a Bojo tool, but basically it's a plastic scraper. You can get these again, Amazon, eBay, normally £1 or so. Now, don't use a metal scraper, or I've seen people use all sorts of stuff, screwdrivers and what have you. You will damage the trim. At the end of the day, your headlining and your glass is weaker than a metal screwdriver. Don't do it. For the sake of £1, go and buy yourself, either a plastic scraper from a DIY shop or something like this off Amazon. Like I say, this is a Bojo tool, and all you do is literally pop it underneath, look, and pull, and then it gives you a nice gap at the back. Very handy. Would recommend one while doing this particular fit. So go ahead and pop your cable up. We'll do that. Right, so we're tucking our wire up behind here, and obviously we've got the cable ties on to hold it in place so it's not going to fall down. I'm just going to point out, when you get to the middle bit, on a lot of cars they've got this plastic area with rain sensors and stuff in, and the best thing to do is to tuck it down the joint around here. So don't go all the way around the edge, just go across this joint here, and then get your other cable tie to tuck up underneath there, and your cable will be about the right length to do that. Okay, when you get to your screen pillar corner here, you'll notice you're going to have to get a bit of a gap going on here. Now there is an airbag behind here, and there is airbag sensors. So all you're going to do is get your little pry tool that you've got, stick it below the rubber there, yeah, like so, and just give it a bit of a tweak. You're going to need the door open for this, so I'm sorry about the excess noise today. We've got 60-mile-an-hour winds going on at times, so just bear with me on that. So pull your door open, and lever it ajar a little bit, look, like so. There you go. Just enough to be able to get your cable down this edge, around here. And then we're going to go all the way down here with it until we get to the end panel. And this end panel is where your fuse box is located, right behind it. So we'll show you that bit in a minute. Now whilst doing this bit, I'm actually using a blunted off one here, as you can see, to sort of snugly tuck the cable all the way in, all the way around the edge there. Don't go at it, like a bull in a china shop. Take your time with it, be gentle. It is a fabric covering, so you don't want it tearing or snagging in any way, yeah? Just ease the cable under. If you've got a little bit too much cable like I have there, you can soon pull it through a little bit here. Now I've got to point out at this stage, obviously I'm not liable for any damage to the vehicle or injuries to yourself by you following this YouTube guide. Unfortunately nowadays I have to put that little line in, because you do have a few clowns try it on in this wonderful day and age that we're in. Right, so on with the video. I'm going to get the cable all the way down to the fuse box now, and then carry on the video from there. Okay, so we've got a cable at the bottom of the screen pillar here. The next thing is to pop off your little fuse box lid. Now you'll notice down here there's a little indent. Don't put a screwdriver in it, it will chip the plastic. Again, plastic pry tool is ideal. Just pop it in and you'll hear it pop, you'll hear the clips go on it. Take your time all the way around the edge there. Don't want any clips to go springing off on it. There you go, look. And it just quite literally comes away. Well, it's meant to anyway. There we go. And all your little clips are still on the edge. If any of them are missing, the little metal bits, they'll be stuck in the slots here. You can just squeeze them, pull them out and clip them back on. So when we get down to this area, what we took this off for is an earthing point, which is one of these. We're going to use one of these bolts here for an earthing point, which I'll update you when I've done it. Okay, and here we are doing the earth connection. Now, I showed you the two mounting bolts on the side of the dashboard. We've took one out, put a washer, a ring terminal on the end of our earth here. It had a little horseshoe connector on it. I've chopped that off and put a ring terminal on for a better connection, and another washer at the bottom, so that when you tighten it up, this doesn't get crunched in any way. The bolt came from here. There's two, as you can see, and the astute of you will notice that I'm actually on the other side of the dashboard now. Depending if they're a left or a right-hand drive car, and depending if it's an A or an S model, the fuse box can be either on either end of the dash, okay? So before you go to all the trouble, obviously make sure your fuse box is behind the panel, okay? So moving back to your earthing point, pop your bolt back in where it came from and tighten it up. That's quite a nice earthing point for that. Like I say, you could use the top one there. That's not an issue, either would do. And then we'll move on to which fuse we're going to use. Pushing the earth off then, what you're going to do is take your power cable down here. Generally this fuse box up here, by the way, is ignition live, is permanent live all the time, so it's not much point in dealing with that one. If you go down here, follow it round, you'll have a removable panel here, or if you've got a left-hand drive version of the car, it'll be buried under your footrest at the side here. There's like a plastic footrest, it'll be under that, the fuse box. If you're on right-hand drives, it's right here. So get your cable tucked through from up here, look, there you go. Okay, and I've already tested the fuses using the multimeter, and all I've done is ascertain that on this particular one, the third fuse from the end, which is a 5 amp on the second row up here, is an accessory fuse. That goes on and off with the ignition and is a prime candidate to use for powering the camera. You'll notice I've removed the little guard there. All they do is clip on, you just pull them off gently and pop that to one side. So I'll go ahead and wire that one up now. There we go. So we've removed the 5 amp fuse out of the fuse box. We've plugged it in our fuse spur just there, so that'll run the original circuit and that'll run the camera. We can now plug this in where the original fuse came from, like so. Now obviously you're not going to be able to put your pink plastic guard back on again, but they're only very flimsy affair. It doesn't really, you know, it's no detriment to anything sort of thing. Pull your excess cable through so it's nice and neat, tuck that out of the way sort of thing, so it's nice and tidy. Now, depending on spec and year of vehicle, obviously your fuse box could have a different layout to this one. This particular car is fully loaded with all the options, so yours may be different. What you're going to need to do is get your multimeter, set it on 12 volts, or 20 in my case there, or you can use one of them screwdrivers, a little bulb in the end of them that light up, and all you're going to do is basically go along touching the ends of the fuses, and you're looking for one that reads 0 when the ignition is off, okay? Obviously when you turn the ignition on, you want it to read like 11.5 or 12.5 volts. Turn your ignition back off again, if it goes back to 0, you found yourself a fuse that's suitable. Like I said before, only use accessory fuses, nothing for ABS braking or airbags or anything like that. Make sure it's an accessory fuse, such as a great large entertainment system, that type of thing, okay? Once you've done that, you're at the point where you can test your camera at last. So leave all your cabling and stuff loose for now, yeah? Go inside the car and test your camera. So I've stuck the camera on the window screen. This has actually got the smooth texture, the black area, so we've used the sucker. We've got a little bit of cable showing, that's about the minimum you can use sort of thing to get away with. Pop your ignition on and hopefully the camera will power up. I've not pre-tested this, so let's see if fact comes true for me. Ignition on. And camera on, there you go. Now what you're looking for when you've set one of these things up is the little battery symbol with a zigzag through it to show it's powered, like so. Sorry for the focus there, guys. In the corner, see the little zigzag there? There we go. Now they've got built-in battery, so obviously that'll have to charge up over a couple of hours. If you turn the ignition off, that zigzag will disappear. There we go, gone. If you've got that far, all you've got to do is pop the end cap back on your dashboard and tidy up this cabling. There we go, we've just cable tied, or you could use some electrical tape, just tidy the cabling up so it's in bundles, and then you've got a nice big space here to sort of tuck it behind and keep it out of the way. It's quite a bundle of wire, so it's not going to rattle or anything. It is on plastic, as it were. We can pop that safely out of the way there. Now, just to answer a quick question, a lot of people ask me, you know, if you park at the airport or such like, and your camera's got what's called parking mode, so you can leave it ticking over in case it senses anything, will it drain the battery? No, it won't drain the car battery. These cameras take about 300 milliamps in power, and they have an auto sense thing built in, so if the car battery starts to drop in any way at all, they will automatically switch off. So hopefully that's covered that. I get a lot of questions in the comments sections regarding parking mode and power drop. 300 milliamps is about the highest drain I've ever seen on a camera, which is absolutely nothing. So not to worry on that one. So pop your end cover back on. Like I say, once you've got to this stage, nice and easy to do. It just clips in. Take your time with it, don't scratch anything. And that's it. You have successfully fitted your dashboard camera. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye for now.